Hi everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. This is Petal. As you know, we are a channel that supports the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry, Meghan, Archie, Baby, Lily, Mama, Doria, Poola, Guy, the chickens, all of us here at Sussex Squad. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi guys, haven't chatted in a couple of days. I thought I'd come on. I know it's a little impromptu. I was actually going to do a video and it was just like, well, why not just go ahead and do a live? And it was like, here we are. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see who is in the chat. Oh, I see Black Queen is here. Church Nelly, our awesome moderator, is here. Hello, Church Nelly, and all our awesome moderators our awesome squaddies, I should say, from South Carolina. Hello, hello. Who else is in the chat with us? Oh, Lydia is here. Our awesome moderator, Lydia is here. Hello, Lydia. How are you? Hope you are well. Black Queen is here. Karen and my awesome moderators. Oh, all our moderators are here. So I guess we're just waiting, looking for cookies and cream. C-Mac is here. Hello, C-Mac. And Ernie is here. And Karen Warner is here. Hello, Karen. How are you? And Emily is here. And Sandy Powell doing all the waving. Hello. And Auntie Jane is here. And Annie is here. Hello, hello, hello. And Tyra. Hello, guys. And Kathy Gavi. Hello, guys. We'll say hi to everyone else as they come in. But welcome, you guys. Well, oh, Joseph Bueno, I see you there. Hello. And Nalo Thandu, I see you there. So, hello, guys. So, what's going on? Actually, a few things are happening, but our faves, they are under a tree doing whatever they're doing over there in Montecito. I know one of the things that's coming in California this weekend. So, all of you California, especially Southern California squaddies, know a bit of a snowstorm and rainstorm is going to be happening out there. I was like, what? I'm like, I don't know what is going on with the weather, but California is getting hit. And so I will be praying for all of you to be, safe. I know forever it was like a drought out there. And now all of a sudden it's just like everything is coming in California. So definitely, I know apparently they said that like the Santa Barbara area is going to be hit. Los Angeles is going to be hit. So hopefully it's not as bad as the last time. And so they said it's going to be much colder, obviously. So I don't know how much rain, but they said rain and really snow. I was like, okay, California. So much prayers and, good thoughts sending to our California peeps and our faves who are out there in Santa Barbara. So, but other than that, they're doing fine under a tree. They've already said what they said the other day, calling British press really just stupid and boring, really. To tell you the truth, it's just really stupid nonsense and boring. So they are fine under a tree and doing whatever it is they're doing out there, working on Archwell. So we'll just leave them to it. But other things are happening around them. One of the things that I saw, this article actually that came out a few days ago, and I meant to talk about it and then I didn't. And then it was just like, or was it a few days ago or yesterday? There's so many articles that come. I forget which day this one came out, but it wasn't today. I think it was maybe early yesterday or the day before or something. But anyway, it's a very interesting, I have to say, just, kind of interesting article that it was just like, okay, sure. Yeah, it just talks about Meghan's crash course on Blackness. And so it goes, I'll just read a little bit of the excerpts here that I got. And the link is going to be in the show notes so you can read the whole article. But basically talking about, how Meghan grew up in California and her Blackness or not was never really an issue to the, and of course we know that Mama Doria and her talked about it in the Harry and Meghan docuseries. Meghan has talked about it on archetypes, when especially when she was talking to Mariah Carey, they talked about growing up and being biracial and what that meant for them. And Meghan talked about, that not really being an issue for her, and until she, started dating and married Harry. And so apart from that, I mean, she was always treated as a biracial person. She actually even wrote an article about being treated as an other, that in between space where you're not white enough, you're not black enough, and you're just sort of that other, which is, I really hate it that people are treated in that way. But so she never had the full blast of what it, as say a dark skinned black woman. She was never treated as that black woman until that, when she got the full blast of it. And so so this article is talking about that, and about, well, it says Meghan Markle, crash course on Blackness. It says Meghan Markle needs sisters. No, I'm not talking about blood relatives like the litigious half sister for whom she is estranged. By sisters, I mean, in the African American vernacular, women who will be part of her tribe, who will watch her back, love her, laugh with her, and be there for her as she confronts the most insidious challenges that anti-black racism can throw at her. If Markle didn't know before taking up with Prince Harry that those kinds of challenges would be coming, she surely knows that now. So for Meghan Markle, the last few years have been a crash course in blackness. And she's been a quick study. She infused her wedding with African American themes. She counts Serena among her longtime friends. Actor Tyler Perry is a godfather of one of her children. And that this clearly is not a woman who is running from her African ancestry. If anything, she is leaning into it. And the black people on both sides of the pond, for the most part, love her for it. And it goes on to say a bunch of other things, including what I was just saying about her not experiencing that throughout her life. And even Mama Dora, saying that if she were to go back, she would have had that discussion with Meghan about, just about really blackness and all of what that entails, but they never did have that conversation. So she even, again, she said if she had to go back, they would have had that conversation. And so in the end of the article, it talks about honoring Meghan because of all of that she has accomplished in spite of going through all of those things. And talks about the things that she has accomplished as an actress, a podcaster, a mom, a wife, and all of the things that this is obviously Black History Month is embracing her. And so it's very interesting that she's like, Meghan needs sisters. And when I first saw that, I was like, Meghan has had those, it's called the Sussex Squad. So I'm not sure where Sophia Nelson, who wrote the article, I'm not sure where she was been. If you read the article, she talks about, how the Black community, as she sat back and watched all the things that Meghan has gone through, that none of it is shocking in the terms of of how they dealt with her as a Black woman and how all the things that she faced. So they saw what she was going through, and none of it is shocking to them. Part of me felt like, well, where have you been? Where have you been all this time when she was going through all this? But look, everybody has their thing. And so his was very, very interesting, a very, very interesting article about embracing her. And I know one of the big things that I've had with and I've seen it lately with Americans as well, but at first was some in Britain feeling like, oh, she's not part of us because she's, she doesn't look Black. Some people in the US I've seen after, the Me You Can See documentary. I'm sorry, not the Me You Can See. I'm sorry, the Harry and Meghan docuseries were like, oh, when Meghan talked about, again, about not experiencing that her race had not been a thing until she married Harry. Some of us in the Black community had an issue with that, and so this was, this addressed all of those things. And and in the end of the article, it says, yeah, where it is, so we can call out our honor roll of notable achievers this black. So as we call out our honor roll of notable Black achievers this Black History Month, not too many of us will take an issue with adding to our roster Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, actress, philanthropist, podcaster, and mother of two grandchildren of British ruling monarch and soon-to-be crowned King Charles. All of which makes Markle, at this month-long celebration of Blackness, comes to a close, a true Black history icon, loved and supported by sisters everywhere. And so, again, part of me feel like, Meghan has a group of sisters that's been with her since 2016. And I came in obviously at was 2016 and before, really, with Suits. And I came in, again, after the wedding, what was that, 2018 or 2019, when she was pregnant. And so that's when I sort of came in about, but there were squaddies way before us with Meghan, to the whole drama before she was married, after she was married, and all of that, who have walked through and lived through the nightmare that Meghan has lived through. And so part of me had felt, when I read that, it was just like, you mean you sat back and saw her doing it and didn't do nothing and say nothing until now? Maybe she did before. I don't really know much about this writer, but okay, whatever. I guess too late. Better late than never. But it's an interesting article where she touched on all of this stuff. But one of the things that she noted was just like, to her, Meghan only has two Black friends. And it was just like, oh, Father. Again, this is what happens when I feel like, research needed. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I appreciate the article and I appreciate her embracing Meghan and encouraging others like her and who may not, but to sort of understand more Meghan's path to where she is. It's not her fault that people treat her one way or another. She has never denied who she was. She's never hidden it. So how people treat her is not anything she has done, is how people respond to her, but it's just very interesting to me that a part of me felt like more in just like, oh, well, her friends are Tyler and Serena, which is great, which oddly enough some people had issue with, because it's like, oh, well, she only has friends with Black millionaires. And it's just like, well, what's wrong with Black millionaires that she can't be friends with? Especially with Serena. She's been friends with Serena since what, 2014 or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Some people had issues with that. And it's like, oh, she only has, Black friends who are rich. And it's like, no, she has a lot of Black friends that you don't know about, because, some of them, like in this article, it's like she has a lot more, but they only mention Tyler and Serena. And so it's just like, more research needed to have been done. But okay, that's fine. Not everybody is like up on everything Meghan does as we are. And sometimes I need to know, I need to like be a little bit more like, less I guess, I don't want to say attacking. I'm not attacking, but I guess more understanding, I guess. Some people aren't as up with in Meghan's life and know more about her life as we do. So, but again, on the other hand, I'm like, but you're a reporter. Do your homework. So, but anyways, I mean, I just thought it was an interesting article. I don't know if anybody has read it, but it was just very, and I appreciate the end of it where she talked about, the fact that this is Black History Month and Meghan, that, yeah, she is worthy of being, not worthy, that's not even the correct word. It's like everybody is worthy of being embraced, but she, but she is basically helping others to be like, no, here is a woman who is at the height of where she is, or has the kind of platform that she has, who is not, she's not even even though she is married to royalty, she is really leaning into supporting, being a part of the community. So judging her based on the shade of her skin is a little ridiculous. So especially that she is black. So, but anyways, I don't know if you guys had read it. Again, I'm going to put the link in the show notes. So yeah. What else is happening? Chode says, he says, I really hazard my thoughts that marrying into the royal family, she became a poster woman for blackness furor. She's been saying how ambiguous she is, not black enough or white enough to land acting roles. Yeah, it just, again, it just, it's like the white people are mad at her, the black people, some, at least some, not all, black are mad at her. It's like, and it's kind of like, what do you guys want from this woman? What do you want? She is who she is. You either love her, you either accept her or not. But it's kind of like, what do you want? And some people, again, you go back to even like, there was this tweet one time where basically this person felt like, because in her mind, Meghan doesn't have enough black friends, therefore she is not black. And so obviously we all went after her. It's like, are you serious? What do you mean? Is there, I didn't know I'm black, and I didn't know there was a quota that I had to have a certain amount of black friends in order to be considered black. So we have this crazy requirements, it seems, especially among us, that you have to have a certain amount of friends, or you have to do this, this, and this in order for you to be accepted in the community. And it's just like, girlfriend's mama is black, and that's all you need to know. That's it. That's it. She don't have to do nothing. She has to prove nothing to no one, and she doesn't have to have any, even if she has 0 black friends and they're all Chinese, does not, that does not take away her blackness. So yeah, so you have all these crazy stuff that people say, and it's just like, wow. But somehow Meghan, and again, is that place where a lot of people who are biracial find themselves, and I can't imagine the horror of feeling like you're sort of, this one doesn't accept you for something, for this reason, and the other side doesn't accept you, and it's like, where do I fit in? And you hear that from so many people that are biracial, and it's a horrible, horrible place to put someone in, or to make someone feel like they don't belong because of something they had nothing to do with. There's nothing to do with who she was born to, so. But let's see. Let's see what you guys are saying before we move on. Karen says, I'm glad Mama Doria didn't have that talk with Princess Meghan, because she was able to live free, loving everyone and seeing the best in everyone before judgment. I think this give her this love. Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying, because Karen, I definitely get what you're saying. Like, I see it on both sides, because one, you want to prepare a child for what they're going to face. You want to prepare them for those moments when where all of a sudden she is in she's with Harry, and all of a sudden all of this hate coming at her because of her blackness. And so you want to prepare a child for that moment where it doesn't just come as like, whoa, and not that even having those talks would necessarily make it not as painful, of course, but at least they know it's gonna come eventually. On the other hand, I also see what you're saying, Karen, in that allowing her to live free, that she sees people as people, It doesn't matter if they're white, black, dark skin, light skin, whatever. She just see people as people, and people just treat her. She was able to just freely accept and people for who they are and not have that there. So I totally see it on both sides. I totally see that as well. So and as a mom, it's just like you do the best you can. And sometimes it's just like, oh, maybe I could have done that better. You know what I mean? You do what you do the best you can. And I also understand it's like the community she was raising, it was just never an issue. So you just hope that, as she goes through her life, it's not an issue. But obviously you run into this and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I should have had that. So there you go. CMAX says she knows she's Black and has never tried to hide it. No one has the right to define her experience because theirs is different. Exactly. She's never tried to hide it. She's always talked about her mom. You have pictures of her grandmother and all of those. She's never tried to hide either side. She accepts both sides equally. And I think what it is that we're a society that is so wants to put people in boxes that we just can't deal with someone who refused to go in a box. And it's like we have to, if someone has some Blackness, then they have to be, they have to have their hair in a certain way. They have to have a certain amount of friends. They have to, you know what I mean? This nonsense. Or, if they're white, then they have to be a certain way. And it's like, Meghan is like, I'm biracial. I can do what I want. I love you and I love you. And I could, I will, fly between the spaces there on both sides. And it's just like, it's just like this idea of putting this woman in a box. It's just like, and you see the same thing. I mean, even now with them leaving the royal family, we have the press and everyone else trying to fit them into certain kind of, oh no, so they left the royal family, so now they have to be Hollywood. So let's frame a narrative where they are Hollywood celebrities. Oh, you wrote a so, and it's just like this desperate need to put two people who refuse to be in boxes. And it's craziness. It is absolute craziness. So, but I'm glad that, that Meghan, in spite of it, has been able to live and be who she is and not feel like she has to be one way or another. So kudos to her for that. So anyways, moving on from that. So again, the link is going to be in the show notes. If you have not read the articles yet, I'll put the link in the show notes so you can read it. And Omid wrote an article today. Omid has been out for a couple of weeks. He hadn't written an article in a couple of weeks. He said he's writing his book, so I guess he's deep into that. But he wrote an article today, and an article about just the nonsense that's been going on with the British press and all the nonsense with that stupid cartoon stuff and just. The British press has, and the funny thing, I mean, if you look at this at the bottom part of under Scobie's, Scobie says, what a week, what this week's crop of fictitious Harry and Meghan gossip. What this week of weeks, I cannot read at the moment. What this week's crop of fictitious Harry and Meghan's gossip, there's a lot of it, reveals about the royal family's wider problem. At the bottom, it says this week's fictitious Harry and Meghan gossip reveals whatever, and it talks about the Earl and Countess of Wessex, Edward and Sophie, on a official royal visit to the Caribbean. Did you all know this? But the press remains focused on Harry and Meghan. Did you guys know that Edward and Sophie were in the Cayman Islands? You know that Cayman Islands, that tax shelter Cayman Islands? Yeah, that one. Did you guys know Edward and Sophie was there? Because if you hadn't, paid attention to certain, very really I think it was probably two of them, I guess, that were talking about Edward and Sophie. You would never know that they're in the Caribbean at all, in any sense of the word, because nobody is talking about them. They are literally on an official tour of the Cayman Islands. And nobody knows about it. And why? Because the entire British press, who was supposed to be promoting the royal family, have been on this nonsense narrative about Harry and Meghan that has been completely false. And And it's very interesting because you think of it, it's like the royal family literally have sold their family out to the British press, especially the tabloids, who was supposed to be promoting them. And they have been completely ignored. And according to the article, and again, I'll put a link to it if you haven't read it yet, you know, other than Kate Middleton's outfit, a few days ago, she was at the BAFTAs with some outfit. Other than that, the British press has completely ignored everything else they've done. Pretty much ignored them, whatever engagements, whatever the King Charles and Camilla engagement was, or I know she had COVID recently. They have completely ignored all of it. And again, the British taxpayers are literally paying for Edward and Sophie to go to their tax haven in the Cayman Islands to do a tour, and none of their press is covering it. They are completely shut out. Actually, Scobie says like he's only found like 8 articles, and a couple of them are from Cayman Islands press of this tour that the British taxpayers are paying for. Instead, the nonsense of obviously that, you know, with the nonsense with the cartoon and all of that stuff, and that, you know, the supposed lawsuit, and of course the Sussexes really, you know, they really threw that down a couple of days ago, that it's nonsense, that is baseless, and it's really boring. So we covered that. But some of the other stuff, so what we was talking about, it says other recent tales about the Sussexes have suggested the couple are, one, going through tough times. And he's like, false. They couldn't be happier, said a friend. That they hired a showbiz deal maker, Adam Lilling, to help go all out on becoming billionaires. And Scobie's like, well, not quite. The entrepreneur venture advisor company Plus Capital has been working with the pair since moving to the US almost 3 years ago, and it's old information and not news, according to a Archwell spokesperson. And then he says details of Meghan's impending return to Instagram were shared in a lengthy broad streak by Camilla Tominey is a liar. She apparently wrote this long article about Meghan coming back to Instagram. And Scobie's like, wishful thinking. A source says she has no account on the platform, and none is going to come into your rise. It's all made up nonsense. And so this whole like weeks and weeks of this nonsense. And the thing about it that drove for me, that I'm hoping, you know, instead of focusing on, yes, the royal family is completely irrelevant. Nothing that they're doing is capturing. And the point of his article is nothing that the royal family is doing right now is capturing the imagination of the public, and it's not capturing the attention of the press. In other words, they are irrelevant. The things that they're doing is completely irrelevant. But at the bottom, it says, at this point, much of the above is typical tabloid flair. News of this nature, even when false, still gets clicks and revenue. That's what publishers desperately need. And if you know, if you've seen the report a couple of days ago, the Daily Mail, they are losing, their subscription has gone under 800,000 for the first time. They're all losing money right now. And they don't care that what they're putting out is false. They don't care that it's nonsense. They know if they put it out there, people would click on it and they will make money. And that is the thing. And that's why for me, I am so talk about this all the time, about not clicking on those articles. I don't care if it's, I want to share a screenshot of it, or I want to, whatever it is. When you're sharing it, you're enticing other people to click on it, even if you don't click on it. And all you're doing is giving them money. And again, this whole nonsense with this cartoon, I mean, it is ongoing nonsense. And they just keep making up stuff and making up stuff and making up stuff. And they know if they put it out there, people are literally stupid enough to click on it. And that is the thing that is giving them money. And so I am hoping, that the more we talk about it, the more people would stop clicking and not clicking on paparazzi photos. Because again, if we keep clicking on it, it's a demand industry. It's like if you're demanding it, they're going to provide it. It's a supply and demand industry. So if we're clicking on it, we're telling them we want more, and they're just going to provide more lies. And so, even today, I had to literally block a couple of squatties. I was like, I will not tolerate this stuff on my, people, and some with even prominent followers, tons of followers. I was like, no, I'm blocking you, because you should know better than doing stuff like this, and it's just like, if we keep doing it, that's why they're doing it. I mean, someone, I think it was like someone posted a screenshot, or they were talking about it or something about, and no matter what it is, that's the lie. One thing you can do is find a ton of Sussex Squad people under people's posts arguing, and it's just like, well, you can't then be upset when they post lies, because if you're going to be under their posts, that's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to go and do. Go under their posts and argue with them, because that's what makes them money. That's what, amplify their whatever nonsense that they are teaching, preaching about, So it's just, and again, I'm hoping that people take this to heart. And, it's like, right now, the newspaper industry is dying, and they are depending on your clicks. They're depending on the likes. They're depending on the shares. That's what they're depending on. And they are only alive and flourishing because we keep them there. Like, so then we can't just turn around and be like upset at them when we are demanding it. All they're doing is providing what we're demanding. That's all they're doing. So we have to take the lumps for what is happening. So the thing is, stop. Just stop. So, but I appreciate Omid, writing this. And again, it's not something that we don't know. Right now, it's like you see situations where, people, at least what's reported, the artists haven't said anything, because even with the coronation nonsense that's going to be happening, a lot of artists are saying no. They're, people, different outlets are reporting that different artists that they're trying to get to perform at the coronation are saying no. They're trying to get people to go ringing bells on that. I was like, mind you, they're not paying these people, I guess, to take time off out of their day to go and ring bells for King Charles on his, fake coronation that nobody asked for. So, I think they're looking for, 8,000. They only got 300 people, said that they're interested in it, So people are, hopefully that people would keep pushing back on this and not allow, them to think that it is okay to be doing stuff like that, taking money again from the mouths of children and from the mouth of babies to put on a coronation that nobody asked for, and that's completely unnecessary. So, the thing that they need to be focused on is the fact that their royals is completely, they're completely irrelevant. They cannot hold people's attention. Again, the king and the queen are out there, and people aren't paying attention to them. They're not interested in them. And that's why they are all over the Sussexes on nonsense. CMAX says, yeah, they needed 8,000 volunteers. And so far, I think they got 300 or something. And so they are desperately trying to get people to be ringing. And like, why do you need people to take time out of the, and mind you, again, they're not paying them. This is volunteer. There are so many things that are wrong in the UK. And, again, cost of living crisis. But no, let's find 8,000 people who have nothing better to do with their day than to go ring bell for a king, for a coronation, again, that nobody asked for. But anyway, moving on. From that, so let's stay away from the tabloids. Please let them go bankrupt. Please. Oh, yeah. Lazy Susan Hussey is back apparently. She has as we know, Lady Susan Hussey was the one who was racist towards Ngozi Fulani at the event for Queen Camilla, who again has yet to speak on the fact that she has, basically allowed this mess to happen and said nothing about it. But anyways, obviously we remember that Susan Hussey resigned her position when that all happened, and of course we knew that was fake. we knew that was fake, and that when they want to appease people, it's like, oh, she resigned, she's no longer with us, whatever. But no sooner did we do that, of course, we know that the British press, they allowed the British press to attack Ngozi to the point where she needed to take a break. And she recently came back and, started speaking out about, that about racism, etc. But the press and all of those white supremacists in the UK embrace Susan Hussey, and how dare Ngozi speak up again, about what she did to her. Well, now we know that that little bit didn't last for long, because Lady Susan is performing official duties for Princess Anne after the royal race scandal. That's right. So Lady Hussey is back in the fold, as they've all been wanting her back in the fold. And how dare Ngozi Fulani speak up about racism, and that they can, and cause Susan Hussey to lose her job. How dare she speak out about this? And so Lady Susan Hussey, is reportedly performing official duties again, months after she resigned for making quote unquote, deeply regretful remarks to a Black charity funder. Notice, not racist remarks, but deeply regrettable remarks. The late Queen Elizabeth II's lady-in-waiting and Prince William's godmother was at the center of a race row last November, after she asked Sister Space founder Ngozi Fulani where she really came from, and the whole deal. Well, on Thursday, February 23rd, Daily Mail reported that Lady Hussey represented Princess Anne at Dame Frances Campbell Preston's memorial in Chelsea earlier this week, 3 months since the row. So she apparently went there, and she was a part of the program at the wherever the funeral was. So her name was on the program, or the order of ceremony there, but her name was not on the court circular. They left it off the court circular, and they claimed that they left it off the court circular because only the king and queen and the Prince and Princess of Wales, people who go and represent them, people who go and represent them are the ones that is on the court circular. And it's just like, really? I don't think so. I don't think that's the truth at all. But somehow they, whether it is that they want to hide it or not, and don't want people to be like, wait a minute, she is back on, because notice they haven't made an announcement that she is back working for them. And apparently, she has been, they said, using the staff entrance and exit at Buckingham Palace. I mean, my thing with her is, they only claim she left so that they can calm things down to people, to take the air out of it, so people, don't come at them as they were coming at them. They only say, I mean, for me, that was a lie the whole time, that she did not resign. She just, they said that so people, to appease people. And now she's back. And again, notice they have not said that she's back, but somehow she's representing, Princess Anne at a funeral. And it's just like, wow, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So who knows? And again, it's always interesting to me how they phrase things, that, regrettable, deeply regrettable comments as opposed to racist comments. Unbelievable. But I mean, it shouldn't be unbelievable. That's a royal family. It's what they do. Anyways, moving on from that. Oh, I know I got like a couple of comments that people are switching over from, not switching, but getting an account over on Spoutable. If you're on Twitter and somehow it's a little difficult to navigate, this is me on Spoutable. Facts and 2 cents. Just come over, just send me send me a message or something over there, and I'll just send you a cheat sheet. So if you know and if you can figure out Twitter, it's literally the same thing. Just the names of them are a little bit different. The names of things are a little bit different. For example, a tweet in Spoutable is a spout, or a I don't know, retweet. I mean, you can still retweet stuff, or you can, instead of a retweet, it's like an echo. It's called an echo. So it's just that the names are different, but it's literally the same thing. Trending on Spoutable is making waves. Those are the names we chose because Chris Boozy gave us choices, like that gave us options that we can choose what we want to name things, and those are the names we picked. And so so if you come over to Spoutable, just send me a message and I'll send you a cheat sheet, and so you can navigate it, and you'll see it's literally just the same as Twitter. So, and it functions the same, just the same as Twitter, with no trolls, or with no harassment, with no negative vibes. It is fun. So, and more people are coming over, more news anchors and stuff, more media people are coming over. So it is cool. Yeah. So let's see. I'm going to go into chat for a second and then we'll move on. Mary 8 says that is why things are so bad in the UK. All this racist hatred. A place doesn't thrive where this much hate. Simply is that as that. I mean, you see the same thing in the US. It's like you can't thrive when you have that much hatred going on. I mean, you see that all over. And for a tiny little country, it's just like you live in this bubble, and it's like nobody has any self-awareness, and it's like they don't see how much it is damaging their country. It's unbelievable. Let's see. Jenny Hyde said, Hussey has never left the British royal family. She just took a long vacation until things blew over in the media. Yeah, that is exactly what she did. And in the meantime, while she's taking her vacation, quote unquote, their friends in the media, especially Richard Eden and I think what is the other one? I don't remember what her name is, but they were all attacking Ngozi. He's still doing it. He's still hashtagging Ngozi's name onto things, and they're still doing it. All Camilla's friends in the Daily Mail were attacking Ngozi this whole time, and basically treating her as the aggressor and not Susan Hussey. So it's really disgusting what they were doing. And again, Camilla has never spoken out about it. She's never, gone after the press to leave Ngozi alone. She has not done a thing, to stop any of this. So unbelievable. Which is why I was like, when Ngozi went there I was like, don't go. Which is why I did not. But she went, and I guess they made peace with it. But gosh, we saw this coming. So anyway, Compton Caligal says, oh, Compton Caligal, hope you guys are okay over there. I know you're going to be rained on pretty soon. So prayers are going to be with you guys out there. But she says, Compton Caligal says, non-UK media outlets are saying William's lawyer is shutting them down about his affair going back to 2019. Jesse Quinn, writer from the Cheat Sheet, says supporters of Harry and Meghan can keep Willie news circulating. First of all, Cheat Sheet is a tabloid, so I would not follow anything they say. They are a tabloid, so I'm not a person that believe things that tabloids are saying. This stuff about William's lawyers, that's been out for like a couple of years now. I've been hearing that circulated from different news outlets, and different reporters have been saying it and tweeting about that, about his lawyers going back then. So yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, cheat sheet is on the level of, I mean, I'm sure you know that, Compton Caligal, the US tabloids. I mean, yeah, yeah. Let's see. More. Jacqueline says, and Harry and Meghan universal service assignments are being done in the Lord's Almighty, in the Lord Almighty, in spite of the troll, haters, and any of the obstacles that the enemy tries to use as a distraction. Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on, and I think the reason why they're so on Harry and Meghan is because nobody cares about what is going on in the UK. And again, if they can focus on Harry and Meghan, the people in the UK, they're not distracted by, or they're not paying attention to what they're doing in the royal family. Like, for example, the coronation. They're not focused on the fact that they are taking their money for a coronation that nobody asked for. They're using people's money that they need to be feeding their families with for a coronation. So let's, focus on Harry and Meghan and distract them so they don't realize that money is being taken out of their pockets. It's unbelievable. And so many people are falling for this nonsense. Let's see. Well, anyway, let's move on. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Connie Bomber. Thank you so much for your super sticker. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support as always. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. I much appreciate it. Let's see. Moving on, what else I got? Oh, there's this. So we remember that before the Spare came out, the British press had went to town on Prince Harry about the amount of, his quote unquote kill count in Afghanistan. And one of the things that, that we know is that they were using, one, because, they were using the Spanish translated version of Spare, and they completely misrepresented in so many ways and lied in so many ways about what Prince Harry said in Spare. And it is, and as we know, when Harry did an interview, he talked about how damaging that was and how dangerous it was. What the British press did, and then they involved all these military veterans in it who had not read the book and who had really just been basically baited into talking about something they didn't know about, and then of course the book came and a lot of it died down. Well, yesterday, or at least they shared the video today and wrote up articles about it. The Defense Secretary, Ben Wallace, went on LBC, and he got totally, and I'm going to put a link to this article so you can at least see the video of this, where he allowed the reporter to totally goad him into attacking Harry. And, this going back to the same kill count. And at first he didn't want, he was like, people can write in, about what they want to write about in, veterans are free to write the way they want to write about their experience in the military. But the reporter kept goading him. And then he said, this is some of the things he said. And I'm going to move myself out of the way there. This is some of the things. And again, this is the Defense Secretary of the British military. Defense Secretary Ben Wallace accuses Prince Harry of boasting about killing 25 Taliban fighters. He says, I think that every veteran makes his own choice about what they want to talk about in their own lives. And then when he was goaded, he's like, he started saying, well, the armed forces is not about tally. I frankly think boasting about tallies or talking about tallies does two things. It distorts the fact that the army is a team game, and it's a team enterprise. For an infantry to go over the top, that person is supported by hundreds of people behind him, whether they're in the headquarters in Britain, whether they're in Royal Logistic Corps, who help them get there. It's a team. And so it's not about who can shoot the most or who doesn't shoot the most. And I think if that's my personal view, if you start talking about who did what and who actually is going down to let, you're actually going to let down all those people, because you're not a better person because you did and they didn't. And so it's kind of like, what on earth is he talking about? This is a man talking about, that Harry is boasting about a kill count, that Harry isn't a team player because he's basically taking all the credit for himself, and that he's letting his fellow soldiers down. This is what this man is saying on TV. He allowed this reporter to goad him into saying this stuff on national TV. And so one of the things that I'm really happy about with the British people is that so many people have now read the book. So if you look under the post of this, they're all challenging them and calling out this lie, which was very interesting. Because before that, if you had looked at, what they were saying before the book came out, is that so many of them had not read Spare and they were attacking Harry. And it was really good to see so many people, including some reporters, go after him and calling out this lie. And of course, the squaddy has been after him. But it's incredible that the defense secretary, and we've talked about this before, about members of the British military allowing the British press to goad them into attacking a veteran. And here is the defense secretary doing the exact same thing. And it's incredible. And I want to go back and I want to read, because just in case you didn't read Harry's book, Spare, this is what I know this is a little bit lengthy, but I'm going to read it because this is so ridiculous. It says, Afghanistan was a war of mistakes, a war of enormous collateral damage, thousands of innocents killed and maimed, and that has always haunted us. So my goal from the day I arrived was never to go to bed doubting that I'd done the right thing, and that my targets had been correct, that I was firing on Taliban and only the Taliban, no civilians nearby. I wanted to return to Britain with all my limbs, but more, I wanted to go home with my conscience intact, which means being aware of what I was doing and why I was doing it at all times. Most soldiers can tell you precisely how much death is on their ledger. In a battle conditions, there's often a great deal of indiscriminate firing. But in an age of Apaches and laptops, everything I did on the course of 2 combat tours was recorded, time-stamped. I could always say precisely how many enemy's combatants I'd killed. I felt it was vital never to shy away from that number. Among the many things that I learned in the Army, accountability was near the top of the list. So my number, 25. It wasn't a number that gave me any satisfaction, but neither was it a number that made me feel ashamed. Naturally, I had preferred not to have that number on my military CV, on my mind, but by the same token, I'd have preferred to live in a world in which there was no Taliban, a world without war, even for an occasional practitioner of magical thinking like me. However, some realities just can't be changed. While in the heat of combat, I didn't think of those 25 as people. You can't kill people if you think of them as people. You can't really harm people if you think of them as people. They are chess pieces removed from the board. Bads taken away before they can kill goods. I'd been trained this is very important, I'd been trained to otherize them, trained well. In some level, I recognize this learned detachment as problematic, but I saw it as an unavoidable part of soldiering. This is the whole text of that. And think of it whatever you may with war. This is war. This is exactly what war is. And we've talked about this before. You know, when you see, it's like, you know, soldiers not wanting to talk about stuff like this. They don't wanting to, you know, it's hard to deal with stuff like this, that you have been trained to otherize someone, because that it's like you're trained to compartmentalize, which help you to be able to kill. This is what they do. This is what they train people to do. And to hear commanders now saying, "Oh, no, we don't train people to do stuff like that. We don't train." I was like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And then it's like, even, you know, after all this, another military guy said, no, Harry is wrong when he said that we were trained to otherize, that they are chess pieces. But that's what you do. And then it's like, well, if you don't kill them, then we have the Geneva Convention. So that way you have to make sure you take care of. Yeah, but you go and you kill people. That's what you do. You know, and again, think of you can whatever, you know, have whatever you feel about war, but this is what war is. This is the brutal reality of what war is. And Harry just laid out his experience. This is what he was taught. This is what they did. This is what, you know, he has to live for the rest of his life, knowing the amount of people. He can't hide from the number of people that he killed. And he sees the problem. He sees how problematic it is. Being trained to do what they did over there, and how they've been trained like, no, the Taliban is bad, but these people are good, so you can't kill these people, but you could kill those people. You train them to do this. And so to come and try to pretend that's not is ridiculous, you know? And then for this, you know, for this command, the defense secretary to be talking about Harry, but where in that what I just read did Harry boast about anything? You know, and that's one of the things that people were saying. It's like he didn't read the book. He did not read it. He just literally went by what the tabloid said, claiming that, like Harry's boasting that he let down his people. I mean, where in any of that book did Harry talk about there was Harry boasting, where he didn't credit the people around him, you know? And it was just so disgusting. And again, this is the defense secretary. You would think he would have more important things to be talking about than a book that he hasn't read. You would think he would be, you know, he'd have much more important things to do, because we talked about this, what I think last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the state of the British Armed Forces, and that an American general evaluated the British Armed Forces and the state of where they are right now. And instead of focusing on where the state of the British Armed Forces is right now, this man is sitting here talking about Prince Harry. And I'm going to move my scroller so we can read the whole thing. But, oops, sorry. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. And this is how we actually, as I said, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about this from Sky News. Says U.S. General warns British Army no longer a top level fighting force, defense sources reveal. A senior U.S. general has privately told Defense Secretary Ben Wallace, that same guy, he told Ben Wallace that the British Army is no longer regarded as a top-level fighting force, defense sources have revealed. Bottom line, it's an entire service unable to protect the UK and our allies for a decade, one of the defense sources said. On a whole, and in a nutshell, this is what is happening with the British forces. I'm going to move my brand there so we can read this properly. This is the problem with the British Armed Forces on the right. The armed forces would run out of ammunition in a few days if they were called upon to fight. Another thing that's happening, the UK lacked the ability to defend its skies against the level of missiles and drone strikes that Ukraine is enduring. If Russia were to turn on the UK right now, they don't have the ability to defend their skies. It would take 5 to 10 years for the army to be able to field a wartime division of some 25,000 to 30,000 troops backed by tank artillery and helicopters. Some 30% of the UK forces on high readiness and are reservists. They're not even full-time, they're reservists who are unable to mobilize within NATO timelines. So we turn up under strength. And the majority of the Army's fleet of armored vehicles, including tanks, were built 30 to 60 years ago, and full replacements are not due for years. The UK Army has issues. And if that's not bad enough, the Week report is that according to the Defense Report published in 2021, all but one of the UK's 33 infantry battalions were dangerously short of combat-ready troops. And according to one of their tabloids, which they all cater to and pander to compound matters, at the start of the year, the Mail and Sunday revealed that 1 in 4 British troops have been officially classified as dangerously overweight or obese, with military chiefs accused of a failure of leadership over the Army's expanding waistline. They are out of shape. They are, obese. They are not in military shape. And you would think that this Army General, Ben Wallace, would be focused on getting troops and getting supplies and military supplies and ammunition to be able to defend themselves. God forbid Russia turns on them. And instead of doing this, he is allowing himself to be goaded into attacking a veteran who has served 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan and who has devoted his life into, supporting veterans around the world. This is the nonsense of the British press. And now this is all over the press. This has all come up again. This whole nonsense has come up again where they are attacking. And I'm going to tell you, and I've said it before, I hope Prince Harry understands that the British military do not have his back. These people do not have his back. And I'm hoping that, and again, it's just me, but if he is able to move Invictus Games out of the UK, to take it away from there, because I believe this is all a part of getting Invictus Games away from Prince Harry. If I were him, and again, that's just my thing and how I'm seeing they're operating. We talked about the way how the UK treated their veterans at the Invictus Games last year. We spent episodes upon episodes about the way they treated their veterans and what they did at the even the royal family and all of them, how they treated those veterans last year. Am I surprised that they would go after a veteran? No, at all. But I'm hoping that, again, that Prince Harry understands these people don't have his back. Even though he has theirs, they don't have his. And I hope he either moves his Invictus Games out of there, whether, if he doesn't want to move it to the US, move it to wherever, but get it out of the UK, because they are looking to destroy it. This is what they're doing. This is this whole narrative about Prince Harry doesn't have their back, that he's putting the military in harm's way and in putting it in danger. All of that stuff is, let's attack Harry so we don't have to deal with the mess our defense force is at the moment. We don't have to talk about the fact that we can't defend our own people, that our armed forces is not even second rate, it is third rate, if that much, that we don't have soldiers that are war ready if needed to be called up because they're obese and out of shape, and we don't have ammunition to be able to defend our country because they're 30 and 60 years old, and we don't even have enough of those. But let's distract the people from that and focus on lying about a veteran. Let's distract people from the fact that Prince King Charles is, using taxpayer funds for a coronation that nobody asked for. Let's focus on Harry and lie about him. And I'm telling you, I long for the day that Harry, and again, this is his country, and I respect whatever his decision. But I long for the day that they will say goodbye to that country, like literally cut them off, because they're not worthy of them. They are not worthy of Harry and Meghan's time. They're not worthy of it. And I hope they would give that time, give that attention to someone else, because the UK, England is not worthy of these people. They're not worthy. When I look and see how countries like Canada and Germany and all these countries are so excited about Invictus Games and so excited about the work that Prince Harry and his team are doing to support veterans, the US, and how the US honor him. When I see stuff like this, and I'm like, and I see what the UK is doing, these are not people that are worthy of anybody's time. You're not worthy. And I would not give my time to that, And again, it is his country, and I respect his love for them, and I respect his devotion to his country. But after you have given up 10 years of your life for a military, and you put your life on the line, you don't owe these people anything. You owe them nothing. And I hope one day Harry will see it and walk away from them, because they are not worthy. This is a despicable, utterly despicable people. Utterly despicable. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of our squaddies are from the UK. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about these people, the reporters, and some of these people in the British Armed Forces who have gone after a veteran who has stood up for them and stood in the gap for them. They're not worthy of it. So anyway, if he does, he does. But this is just me. This is what I'm saying. I can't. It is just it's so unconscionable to see this. It is just anyways. Shelly L, let's see what you're saying. Shelly says, I can't even describe the shock and sadness that fell across the room once they realized they were lied to in order to get into that room. Okay, I'm not sure I'm so sorry, Shelly. First of all, thank you for your donation. Thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate it. But I'm not sure where we're I'm not sure I understand where the context of what you're saying. So explain, please do. And so, but thank you so much for your donation. I really, really appreciate it. And I see another donation that I want to acknowledge. So give me one. Wait, Shelly, and both of, aw, thank you so much. Let's see. Shelly, thank you so much. I appreciate both of your donations. She says, hello, I've been listening while cleaning. I joined the Army when I was 35. During our orientation, they asked who joined to go to school. These kids raised their hands, and the DI yelled, wrong, you're in the killing business. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Shelly L. Thank you. Because I know this for a fact, because I have a relative who I basically talked out of doing exactly this. She was recruited and lied to that she was going there, and the whole premise of it was, you're going to get a scholarship. And this is how you're recruited, that you're going to go and you're going to get a scholarship and it's going to be great. They don't tell you that you're going to go to war and kill. They don't. Until you realize, at the end, one of the reasons I always talked about hating the Bob Hope show, hating watching it, because I knew what it was. There were these kids there who were basically trained to kill. That's what they were doing. That's what they did. And it traumatized me every time I see the Bob Hope show and I see those young kids. They are children. So thank you, Shelly L. Thank you. Let's see. Gwendolyn says, "How do you know who you can trust in war? Even kids are trained to kill." Yeah, these are children. You know, the youngest, I think, was in Vietnam. I know was like 14 years old. Was a little 14-year-old black boy. He was, he was in the military. He was trained to kill at 14, and it just, yeah. And I'm really happy that, Harry was so honest in his book, because these are things that many people don't want to talk about. They're afraid to talk about, and a lot of people like these, like this other person, military person, who was saying today how Harry was wrong to talk about his kill. And he talked about, um, basically otherizing people. And it was just like, no, that's what you do. And Harry was right to talk about it, because people need to know the realities of war. They need to understand what war is, that it's not, I mean, some people have this idea. It's like, what do you think they're going to do? Bake cupcakes or something? This is what they do. This is the reality and the brutality of war. And maybe if people understand the brutality of war, more people would be protesting and we wouldn't go to war. We wouldn't go there, and we wouldn't do that to other people. People need to understand it. And I'm glad Harry spoke so honestly about it, so people understand the brutality of war and what these veterans, when they come back, are traumatized because of this stuff. And then you're lying to people. I was like, oh no, we don't authorize people. We don't. And it's just like, please. Yes, I know when they're injured, you have to make sure that they are safe. But otherwise, what? Kill. That's what you do. You're shooting them to kill. And, God bless them that some of them are not, some of them are alive, that you are able to, make sure that they are safe. But the point of shooting at them in the first place was what? To kill them. So it's just unbelievable to me. But again, just the lies that these people tell, and again, this general, I'm sorry, I'm going on and on about this, but it just made me so irritated. And this same general, this is the person that's talking about, you can't, you're not supposed to brag, or take credit because it's other people's credit. And then, again, which is one of the reasons I'm really happy that so many people in the UK has read Spare. And so a lot of them are pushing back against this lying narrative. And one of the things they shared about Ben Wallace is him trying to take credit for things that he didn't do, which is what he claimed Harry was doing. Because apparently in 2018, he had this going back and forth with this guy, Glenn Bradley. Ben Wallace tweeted at the time, "I was actually an intelligence officer in Northern Ireland during the first ceasefire negotiations in 1994. I can remember the EU, I can't remember the EU or Michael Bonnier or the border being a factor in it." So this guy, Glenn Bradley, tweeted back at him, "In 1994, you were not in intelligence, but a young officer in your third year of commission post-training with your battalion." And he goes on and on, them going back and forth. But at the end, at the bottom, Ben Wallace is like, "Well, you wouldn't know a jot about what people did or didn't do, didn't know about in 1994 ceasefire. So stop pretending you know. Oh, perhaps pretense is an offering." And to which Glenn Bradley was like, "Be careful. That is me in the middle of the Paris mark. But late 1994, I was a chair of the West Belfast Constitution of the IUP." Now, I don't understand all of what they're talking about, but one of the things Glenn Bradley was saying is that in the second part of the tweet, he's saying, his first tweet, he said, "The cessation by Republican or royalist paramilitaries in 1994 didn't involve you one jot. and the GFA didn't involve you one jot. So basically, he's telling Ben Wallace, you are lying. You are not an intelligence officer during the ceasefire. You are a liar. And so not only, so when that happened, a couple of years later, the whole thing came up again, and I guess people were tweeting at Glenn Bradley about it. So he wrote this whole thing about what Ben Wallace did. It says, many of you are asking about the tweet thread by Ben Wallace MP, which occurred some 4 years ago, and it's currently being retweeted continuously now. I'm unsure why people need me to clarify anything, because the thread is and has been in the public domain for years, but still available for all to read and determine for themselves or investigate further. However, from my side, the challenge to Ben Wallace at the time was that his use of intelligence officer, which I felt was a dressing up of his actual role because it is security services language, I also rejected his insinuation that he helped to deliver the paramilitary cessation in Northern Ireland and subsequently assisted with the GFO as he jibed EU allies in his tweet comment. Wallace was an IO or intelligence officer in his battalion, the Scots Guard, which is a role usually completed by the lieutenant in the army in between 1 to 3 years of service. And it goes on and on and on. But the bottom of it, reading the bottom part of it, it says, in summary, Wallace's Twitter boast in 2018 was just bloating and a provocation with no relevance to his actual duties, while as a young officer in the Foot Guard Battalion serving in Belfast during 1992 onwards. And that's why I challenge his comment. Wallace is a veteran. I am a veteran. Veterans disagree. Disagreeing is especially prevalent when one has been in an infantry NCO and the other has been a foot guard officer. I do, however, stand by my assessment of his tweet in 2018. But Wallace has made other outlandish claims. It is up to others to investigate those and determine if he is a bloater, a liar, an outright fantasist, or unstudied honest. And so basically he is backing up his tweets. It's like, no, you weren't who you say you were at the time. You had no you had no role in this, the ceasefire that you're claiming that you do. And this is a guy, again, who is claiming that Harry is taking credit when it's is basically a team effort. And here he was doing basically what he is accusing Harry of doing. And so I'm glad that people are calling him out and, with this, and it's funny, like I had never seen any of this stuff before. It's the first time seeing it today. But when I saw the tweet, reporters tweeting about him attacking Harry, people started posting this and posting his tweets with, Glenn Bradley calling him out for lying about being an intelligence officer and, being part of that. And so it is just very interesting to me that, again, with anything in the UK if you haven't been paying attention, whenever they accuse you of something, it's something that they're doing, or have done. Again, lying about his role, and then now claiming that Harry is, and taking credit for stuff he didn't do, and basically saying that that is what Harry is doing, which, again, as we read in Spare, none of that is the truth. This man has not read, and that is what everyone has been calling him out on. He has not read the book. He has read the tabloid narrative and decided, let me follow along because this reporter is goading me into it. He knows what he's been goading. He allowed himself to be goaded in to attacking Harry. And when you watch the video, you will see that is exactly what that reporter, Mike, whatever his name is, from LBC, that's exactly what he did. He started by saying, veterans can say whatever they want, and the reporter would not allow him to stop at that. He goaded him until he attacked, and he fell for it and did it. And that is, again, with the British military, it's like They have allowed them, I've never seen that before, where a military person allow the press to dictate what they say about veterans. It is just sick. It is utterly sick. So anyways, I'm just gonna jump in the chat for a second and see what you guys are saying before I move on. Nissa Gate says, OMG, he's lying. This man is old enough to be Harry's dad. He should cut it out. Oh, seriously. Absolutely seriously. He is totally lying. I mean, he hasn't read the book at all. Judy says, and this man, the interviewer wanted a certain reaction from the lie. Yeah, I mean, when you watch the video, and again, I'll put a link to the article and it has the video of the interview in there, you will see exactly what I mean. You will see exactly what I mean. The reporter from LBC completely goaded him and he went for it. He totally went for it. They knew what the narrative that they wanted. They wanted an attack. They wanted a distraction, and he gave it to them. Absolutely. Unbelievable. Marjorie says, so Wallace was not a commissioned officer trying to make himself look important. That is exactly it. And that's why he got called out. And again, this is something that happened in 2018. And then 2022, people were tweeting Glenn Bradley again. And then and again, why I'm so happy. Spare again is for the how many weeks now? I forget. Week now is #1 still in the UK. And people are reading the book. And so while before Spare came out, people were going after Harry, you will not see that now. You hardly see that now. People are calling them out, and people know because they've read the book. And they're like, that is not what is in the book. That is not what he said. That is a lie. And so you see so many response for this, that it, people are calling him out. Let's see. C-Max says, Gwendolyn Daniels, all of our fathers were deployed. We were in Germany, and V-Corps was completely deployed. My mom worked for ACS manning suicide hotlines. I can't explain how traumatic that was. I can imagine. It's just like, war is hell. It is hell. And people need to know the horror of this when, and I have to tell you, before I worked on Not Play a Piece of My Heart and did research and had to watch those Bob Hope oh my goodness, I felt traumatized and I wasn't there, and to talk to vets and to see how so many of them are still traumatized from Vietnam. And it just like, people need to know. And I think if people understand the brutality of what that is, we will have less of it because people wouldn't stand for it. And again, even with Vietnam, it wasn't until the Tet Offensive when they saw, so many Americans get killed, then people understood and started really, the protest started, the Vietnam protest started. But it's just like, people need to understand it so that we don't send our kids, to go fight wars. And especially, anyways, let's see, moving on. Get some more comments before we move on. Jodeci says, Alma Andrews was so true about their terms. They come back lost and have to find a new life. Impossible mostly not being protected long term. And I'm assuming you're talking about soldiers. Yeah. One of the things with military vets, they come back to a country, you'd find most of them go back to war. You'll find because they cannot come back and fit into whatever it is they left. Because who the person who left, and that is one of the refrain, the person who leaves and go and fight in the war is not who comes back. A lot of them, their body comes back, their mind doesn't. They are forever changed by the things that either they have been made to do there, the things that have happened to them, the things they've done. They are forever changed. And that's why you see the suicide level of veterans is so high, because trying to reconcile some of the things that takes place in war, you can't. So I'm not here for any general who trying to sanitize war and trying to be like, oh, no, wait, no. I rather listen to a soldier who is honest about the reality of what they faced. People need to understand the brutality of it. So yeah, it's crazy. It's like you go there and you do this stuff on Veterans Day and all of that stuff, and you honor the war and you honor war dead, and you call them heroes, whatever. What do you think they were doing? What do you think they were in those countries doing? Why are you why are you, do you understand what you're honoring? And it's like you call them heroes, but it's like you have people have a sanitized version of what they think heroes of war are, or what they were doing there, or what they experienced. People need to be able to be honest about those things without being told to shut up. And what this is telling veterans to shut up. If they are going after Harry, imagine veterans right now who are going through those same thing and having to reconcile their kill count, and reconcile what they did and what happened to them in war. Imagine where they are right now. They must be feeling, well, I can't, if they're going after Harry, I can't say anything because I don't want to be attacked. They're all of a sudden probably feeling like they can't speak the truth about their experience. And that is sick. That is truly sick. And so again, I just hope, and again, that's my hope, and maybe I'm just ranting, but I just hope Harry just caught ties with that never mind. Let me just move on. Just like, let's see. LDSW says, CMAC, agree with your point. My husband, who went to Vietnam, told me about his experience when he returned home from service. He has lingering bitterness about this experience until the end. Yeah, most vets, and especially Vietnam, when you come back, I mean, at least vets now, when they come back, they're treated as quote unquote heroes. They come back to a country that welcomes them. They come back to a country that embraced them, and they get medals and stuff like that. The Vietnam vets, when they came back to this country, they came back to a country that didn't want them. A lot of them burned their medals and burned their uniforms. People had blood thrown on them. They were called baby killers. They didn't have what they have now. They didn't come back to a place that treated them like people. Many of them would not tell you they went to Vietnam. You're lucky, at least at least your husband talked about it. Many of them refused to talk about it. They refused to let people know they were in Vietnam because of how they were treated. People spat on them when they came back. Literally spat on them. And so when you see people going through stuff like that, to tell someone they can't speak, or to come at them, or to try to sanitize, this made me so angry. Because I spoke to people who have been through this. It makes me so angry. And so for people to have gone through this, and a lot of them leaving this country and whatever country as children, teenagers, and coming back to a country that doesn't want them, or coming back to a country like this where you serve, and then people are just, attacking you for speaking the truth. It is very infuriating. Let's see. Mad World says, I have family members that served in the war that they had direct contact with insurgents. When they came home, they were never the same after taking their lives, or fellow servicemen being killed by them. Yeah. How can you be the same? How can you? Because this is not natural. It's not, it's like, we know these are things like, it's like, yes, this is what happens in the war theater. How do you reconcile when you come back to America? to so-called the civilized world. How do you reconcile that as a human being? How do you reconcile that? And we're surprised that people are struggling with PTSD and all of that stuff. You know, and in the case of Vietnam, not only do you have PTSD, but then you're dealing with Agent Orange, and then you don't have, you know, you have a country that did not even want to acknowledge that, you know, what the damage that Agent Orange did to people. They didn't have the health insurance and all of that stuff, especially if you're a woman. You weren't even quite, they don't even know how many women served in Vietnam. They still don't. And a lot of them weren't given any like medical insurance or any of those, none of that. Because a lot of them, especially the women, weren't considered military, so they got nothing. And so this, oh goodness, you know, I gotta say this really, 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 this is under my skin. As you probably can tell, this really has gotten under my skin. I can't. Not when people give up their lives and they sacrifice their life as this. Not when people do stuff like that. You don't do that. You don't do that to people. Karen Werner says, I see that recollection in Spare is Prince Harry saying to veterans and others to speak out and be honest with your experience to get through your healing and save themselves. Exactly. This is exactly what he's doing by him saying it, by him speaking it. He gives permission to others to speak it, because a lot of people, I'm sure if it was me, it would be hard to say, because then I have to reconcile that it was a human life I took. You know, it's hard. And so he's giving permission. And so, yeah. Thank you, Karen Warner. All right, you know what? Let me I'm gonna do change up a little bit. Not a whole lot. Well, actually, let's look at this for a second. And on a more positive note, talking about this, Invictus, Invictus Canada, which I hope they again are so excited about Invictus. It's coming up in 2 years, but you couldn't tell Canadians that, because for them, it's just tomorrow. And again, the respect they have for the Invictus Games, for the Invictus community, for Prince Harry, what he's done, I mean, it is incredible. These are the kind of people I would want to put Invictus in the hands of. These are the kind of people, you know, if there's a way Harry could move his team to Canada or the US into hands of people that really, really value him and the work of Invictus, I would be so happy. I would be so happy. I know it's probably not going to happen, but that's my vision and that's my dream, you know, to put your baby into the hands of people who value it, you know. And so Invictus Canada, countdown begins. We are officially 2 years away from 2025 Invictus Games coming to Whistler and Vancouver. And it was great to see how excited everyone is for the games. And Lawrence Macaulay is an MP in Canada. He is, you know, he was there from the beginning getting these games together. They are so excited. The Canadians, the Whistler community, they are so excited about the Invictus Games coming. You could not tell them that this is 2 years away, although they're like, yeah, it's 2 years away, but they are behaving like it's tomorrow. They are so excited, and they hold, I mean, again, when you have a baby, when you have a vision of something, and you are able to give that vision to someone, and they embrace it as their own, where it's not even for them, it's not even yours anymore, that it's theirs, and they just like treat it as theirs, that is exactly what you want. And that's why I've been so impressed with the Canadian Vancouver community and how they have embraced the games for 2025. The same thing with Dusseldorf. They are just so excited about this, and all the teams, they are so excited about this. And these are the kind of people that I would want to put my games in, and something that is close to my heart, because you know they will value, they know they value it, they will cherish it. It is theirs. They have made it their own, and it is just wonderful to see how the whole community, all the cultures coming together to celebrate the games. And then they just had their first, sponsor come in with over $1 million for the game. I mean, they are just on fire. And these are the kinds of people you want to invest in. And these are the people that you want to put your heart into. I'm sorry, but the UK is just not it. It is just not it. And that is so unfortunate, because there are good people there. There are people who are, but the leadership, whether it's the military, the royal family, the press, the government, it is disgusting. I'm sorry. It is utterly disgusting. And it's just not worthy of anybody's time. And I'm sorry. And again, I know Harry loves this country, and God bless him and bless his heart. And he has a vision for his people. I don't, and I don't have to. I am sick of it. I am so incredibly sick of it. So that's my take on that. That's my done on that. So I'm done. Anyways, I'm just going to do a change of music just to get my mind in a different space. I'm sorry. I'm sure your mind is in a different space, but my mind needs to be in a different space. And I'm not yelling at... and depressing the royal family. That's who I'm talking about. But moving on. Okay. Sorry, guys. Moving on to something more pleasant, finally. Tyler Perry's book, Higher is Waiting. We're going to be doing that on Saturday. So hopefully we've been reading. Hopefully you've been encouraged. Hopefully you have been inspired in some way. And hopefully you're all set to talk about it on Saturday at 1 o'clock. We'll have our book club. So I hope you'll come. Bring your cappuccino, your coffee, your whatever you have. I'm a tea person, so I'll be having tea. So that's what I'll be doing on Saturday. So hopefully you join us and to have a great time. Be prepared to call in. I'm hoping most of the conversation will be you talking about what you got out of the book. I am excited to hear about that, and hopefully you are as well. So definitely looking forward to Baby Lily's godfather inspiring us on Saturday. So that would be awesome. So anyway, I think that's all I got today. Let's see. I'm going to stay in the chat for a little bit before we end. And I'm sorry I went off on a rant. It got under my skin, and I'm sorry. I hope I didn't yell in your ear or anything. So I apologize for that. Lydia, awesome moderator, says, looking forward to this battle. Oh, good. One person is looking forward to it. Yes. Oh, okay. Jeannie, I'm sorry. Jeannie is also looking forward to it. Yeah, she's got her little, she's got her tea. All right, absolutely. All right, well, looking forward to that on Saturday. So awesome, Jeannie. Let's see. Kathy Gabby, she's talking to Nisgate. She says, yes, he should move the headquarters, just leave the office like the other place. The UK is not HQ material. Absolutely. And again, we could talk about it. Now we're done. Whatever you want to chat about, we can chat about. So let's see. Black Queen says, she's talking to Shelly Ella says, so sad. They knew SA was rampant. The culture is to sweep it under the rug. I believe that they did it on purpose to break women, to force us to quit. They didn't want us there, unfortunately. What exactly are you speaking about, Black Queen? Or if you'd like to share, That would be great. So I know the context of what you're saying. Um, Gwendolyn says this man should have had more dignity and control. Like, really? Absolutely. Absolutely. As a general, or at least a defense secretary, you would think so, but no. Um, Karen says, hip hip hooray, Canada. Can't wait. Yes, I know. Very, very excited about Canada. Valerie says, Canada, we are. Awesome. Absolutely. 2025 couldn't get here fast enough. Lana says, oh, she's talking to Joyce. I don't know what part of Canada you have been into or lived in, but it's not like that in UK. Okay, not sure the context. So okay. Let's see. Gwendolyn says, oh, LDSW, really heartbreaking. I had a friend who went to Vietnam. He had mental issues and physical. Very, very, very prevalent among people who went to Vietnam. Definitely, especially mental. Especially a lot of physical, obviously, but it's, especially, yeah. Let's see. Valeria says that's us. We are excited for Harry's success. Hurry to us, Canadian. I'm telling you, Canada is very excited, and I am very, very, very excited for Canada. Very excited. I just, yeah. Linda Lala says, I don't plan on missing 1 second of Invictus Canada. It'll be great because they're gonna have the regular games, and then they're gonna have all the winter sports, which would be amazing. And so, see those vets out there skiing and snowboarding and all the other things that they'd be doing out there, curling. I always like curling or bobsled, whatever they have. I mean, it'll be great. It'll be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, maybe speed skating. Ooh, that would be great if they're doing. I have to look up again. I forgot all the disciplines they're going to be doing. I think they had a list of them and I forgot what they are. So I got to look up. But that'd be great if they're doing speed skating too. That is very exciting. Let's see. Joy says Harry needs to move Invictus to the US. I'm assuming no Commonwealth. OW try. I'm not sure what OW mean. It's just being in the UK. I love Canada, but move it to the US. There are so many US organizations that works with Invictus, including Better Up. And I think it's just the respect from the military is so different here than it is there, which again, U.S. military, the respect for U.S. military again has come a long way because again, I was just talking about how Vietnam vets were treated. They were not heroes. I mean, you had World War II where they were heroes, and Vietnam where the U.S. lost and allies lost. The vets were not treated with any kind of respect at all. They were treated like subhumans, and now that respect is way back from what that was, so and now treated again as heroes. And so yeah, so the US they have come a long way. So but definitely the respect that the military vets get here and those are serving now get here is way above what is in the UK. The UK is just, it's atrocious. I mean, if anybody has any questions about how vets especially are treated in the UK, just watch what the royal family did to Prince Harry and that reap. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all you need to know. Lorna says the event will be held on First Nation land, so they will be involved. Oh yeah, they are definitely involved and very excited about it too. Very excited about working with Invictus and Invictus working with them, So yeah, it's just they're very excited. Let's see. Moving on. Black Queen says, Ramona, thank you for your service. Much appreciated. This topic is really triggering, especially with the way how they are treated. They're treating a fellow vet, Harry, very despicable. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, as a vet, and I'm not, obviously not a vet. And if I'm triggered by it, I can only imagine, others, how they are feeling right now. And it's just, yeah, it's very triggering. So thank you all in the chat. I know we have a lot of squatties who are vets, and I'm sorry that you guys are even having to hear that nonsense. Nobody should have to, put up with that sort of thing, and using tabloid narrative to attack a vet. That is just, it's completely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Joy says, I hope the guy who did the interview and Wallace are being dragged onto it. Yes, they are. Very much so. Very much so. But if you read the press report about it, they totally take out what the reporter did. None of them are acknowledging or even writing that how much he baited the defense secretary. They're not writing that, how he baited him into doing it. None of them are acknowledging that at all. And so if you haven't watched the video, you would never, from reading, what they're writing about it, you would never know. Yes, Nick Ferrari is Nick Ferrari is the one that did the interview. You would never know that he was baiting him because of how they wrote those articles. They completely took out what he did and misrepresented his role in that attack on Harry. And Bassani is saying, she's talking to Linda, says, Nick Ferrari is a Harry and Meghan hater, very right-wing and friends with Boris and family, the odious Rachel, who also has a show on LBC. Yeah, Nick Ferrari, that's the guy that was doing the interview. He, definitely totally goaded him. And again, if you read the press report and don't watch the video, you would never know what he did in that interview. And so when you see it, you'll know what I mean. So let's see. Linda says, no one respects vets more than Canadians. I come from a long line of servicemen and women. And it shows. It definitely shows that respect and the joy at which they celebrate vets and want to be there. I mean, how could you not? When people put their life on the line, how could you not? And especially when you are enjoying freedoms that they put their life on the line for, how could you not be grateful? Like, I don't understand that. So Cookies and Cream says, prayers and protection for Dr. Shola and family. Yes, please do. Dr. Shola, if you haven't seen the letter that was sent her, I have not been, because I don't want to, broadcast or share hate messages and hate notes to give people clout. But Dr. Shola definitely has she's been speaking out, because obviously the reason why you send death threats to people is because you want to silence them. And so she has been speaking out, and apparently they sent it to her, and they also sent it to another reporter who is white. So so both of them got hate letters, I think, the same day. So, and I know that reporter, she has been a advocate of trans rights. So I'm assuming that's what that was about. And so, I mean, hate of any kind should never be tolerated. And so they're both speaking out about it, and they're both speaking out, whether you agree with someone's decisions, whatever they're advocating for, whatever whatever it is, and whether you agree or not, that's not acceptable, and so they're both speaking out. So definitely pray for both of them, because again, they both have got hate messages. And Oh, Black Queen, thank you so much. I appreciate your donation. She says, Petal, it was in regards to me, Shelly L., and many women South Africa's experience in the male-dominated military. Oh, okay. How they sweep under the rug, blame victims, never hold perpetrators account. Okay, so this is abuse of a female in the military, women in the male-dominated military. And this is also a thing in the U.S. Military as well, where women have been sexually assaulted and killed. And I remember one not too long ago, and I don't know if they solved that case. I don't know if they solved with what the officer was killed. A female officer was killed, and yeah, I don't know that case is solved either. So yeah. But thank you so much, Black Queen. And it is horrendous in so many situations where you have, the military, because yes, you are so right. A lot of it is sweeping it under the rug. A lot of it is that. There is even an organization dedicated to advocate for women in the military that because of this very same thing. And I have to get the name of it. And I can share it maybe next time on what the name of the organization is that really focus on helping women who has been abused in any sort of way in the military. So yeah, it's just, and I think there was also a documentary about it as well. So I am so sorry about that. So, and about having to experience that when you're there to serve your country. Oy, it's like, yikes. So, but let's see. Chody says, he says, of course they will bypass O'Brien, who knows the value of the military Harry. Ferrari went on to please his big right-wing donors and prejudicial crowd who feed his girth and look so grotesque. I mean, obviously, he hates the Sussexes, but I know that other reporters on that channel that have, been speaking out against what was said. And so, yeah. But anyways, that's it, guys. Again, I apologize if I kind of went off there. It again, the truth be told, it got under my skin and I may have ranted. So I apologize for my rant, but it is what it is. Again, as you can see, Tyler Perry up on Saturday. I'll be here tomorrow. I think I should be here. We can do a live tomorrow, but Saturday we are going to do the book club. So hope you guys are excited about it. And yes, thank you so much, Victoria Fabre, to close this out. Yes, to all veterans who are still in service, thank you for your service. And to all of them who are not in service right now, you are still in service. One serve, always serving. You are serving in so many ways. I mean, it's amazing that you still are serving in spite of putting yourself out there so that we can have the freedoms that we have. I will always be grateful. There is a world out here that will always be grateful in spite of the actions of others. So thank you. And thank you, Victoria Fabre. It's a great way to end it. Thank you all. I mean, it's the least we can do is to say thank you for your incredible service. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much to our awesome moderators, Lydia, Trish, Nelly, Karen M, Cookies and Cream. I appreciate you so much for everything that you do for the channel. As usual, you are amazing, keeping it safe. Today wasn't all that fun, but you make it in a safe place that we can all share what we're thinking, and I appreciate that. Thank you to all of our wonderful 2 Cents Crew members who support the channel on a monthly basis. I appreciate you so much. Again, out of the kindness of your heart. You didn't have to do any of this, but you did. You do it and you support the channel, and I appreciate you. And all of you who support in the chat, as you've seen, whether it's just a straight donation or super thanks, super chat, super stickers, all of the way you support, I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Again, and for all of you guys, thank you for just being you, being amazing. I just appreciate to be able to that we can all get together at some point and be able to share our thoughts and feelings and all of the things that's in between. I appreciate you guys allowing me to do that. And if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you know when we drop a video. And please share the video. Help us to grow the channel. Help us, to get bigger. We are over 6,000, and I appreciate that. We just need to grow more, and so more and more and more come in. And again, if you're able, please join the channel. Please join the 2 Cents group. That would be greatly appreciated as well. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. I love you all. Bye.